Uh, okay. If Maaser Sheni, which was brought into Yerushalayim, became unclean, whether by an avatuma or an avalatuma, whether inside or outside, Beit Shammai says it must be redeemed and all must be eaten inside, except that which became unclean by the avatuma outside. But Beit Hillel said all must be redeemed and eaten outside, except that which was rendered unclean by a avalatuma. Excuse me, inside. If a deer bought with Maaser Sheni money died, it must be buried with its hide. Reb Shimon says it must be redeemed. If one bought it alive and slaughtered it and it became unclean, it must be, excuse me, redeemed. Reb Yossi says it must be buried. If one bought it slaughtered and became unclean, it is like produce. If
Okay.
one lent,
Now this is me.
one more, right?
I'm
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 sorry.
I'm your base.
You're the base, right? Okay. If one lends jars for
No,
Maaser
no,
Sheni
no,
from
no,
his,
no, no, no. Your base is me.
I,
So,
I,
if
I,
one
I,
lends Maaser Sheni,
I
okay,
thought I skipped one. Okay, all right, all right. Go ahead. All right.
okay,
Well,
all right. So now a guy, how's our situation? A guy has got Maaser Sheni wine. And he made wine in his own wine press, and now he's separated out all of his masters, and now he's got Maaser Sheni wine over here, and he's poured it into a bunch of jugs. Okay. Now the jugs obviously were made from chulin. They're not intrinsically Maaser Sheni. So what he's doing is he's actually lending the jugs to Maaser Sheni, and he doesn't want them to become Maaser Sheni themselves because that adds some complications, as we'll see. Um, so now he he said, look, he specified I'm putting these lending these to Maaser Sheni, and now he seals up the jugs.
mhm.
Uh, and now intending to take it all up to Yerushalayim and to consume it there. Okay, and even though he has actually sealed the jugs, okay, Afal pi shegafan lo kana maaser, so the jugs do not become maaser. Okay, zalaf lesochan stam, he just put out the jugs stam without specifying anything, and then he pours his maaser sheni wine into them. Achi lo gafan lo kana maaser, if he hasn't sealed them yet, if everything is still okay, mishe gafan kana maaser. But if he now seals them with stam, so now what's happened is he's actually made them part of the Maaser Sheni. So now what does he have to do with this? He's going to have to take everything up to Yerushalayim and sell them. He'll have to sell the wine, and with the money that he gets, he now has to take that.
Fine.
He now has to take that and spend that on Maaser Sheni. Okay, so that he can get the value of the jugs themselves along with the wine.
Fine.
Okay, Ad shelo gafan olos be'echad u'me'ah. Now, another halacha, which is unrelated to Maaser Sheni. This is talking about truma now. So if you have truma wine that's been poured into all these jugs, that's been poured into a jug, a single jug, and that jug is still open, and it got confused with 100 similar jugs of chulin. Olos be'echad. We say, fine, that's your 100, your bittul of 100, and you just have to take out one and give that to the coin and call that the truma, and we're fine. Okay, because they're considered like one big mixture because they're all open. Mishigaf, and once they're sealed, mekadshos b'chol shehen. Now um uh significant in their own right, and there's no bittul for them. So if you had 1,000 jugs and one of them was truma, but they're all sealed, then he's going to have to sell them all to a coin or to a group of coin, more likely.
Right, yeah, I think so. All right.
Okay, Achilo Gafan, another halacha. If this is still tevel, right? We're talking about wine that's still tevel. If he hasn't
Uh,
sealed the wine jugs, Torem me'achas ala kol, he can take truma from one on and exempt all of them because they haven't yet been sealed. They're all considered one unit together. Mishigafan, once he has sealed them, it's over. Torem mikol achas ve'achas. Now he's got to open up each one uh, individually and take truma from each one because he cannot take from one to exempt the others because it's considered truma shalomi namukaf. It's something that's not truma has to be taken from something that is right there, that is next to the produce that you're taking truma from. Which is why when we're taking truma from a group of fruits or whatever, we typically try to put them all in one bowl or cover them with one cloth to something that'll group them all together, so that when you take the one item as truma, it exempts everything. Once they've been sealed, it's over, and now you've got to go back and reopen all of them and take truma from each one. Okay, so that just is demonstrating the point of what is the power of sealing a jug. So we said in the context of Maaser Sheni, in the context of truma, and in the context of tevel. Oh, okay.
Once he sealed it, it's completed. It's finished. The work is done, so to
Um,
speak. So to speak.
and it's more to the point, it's separated from all the other similar jugs. Up until then, we considered all the wine as one unit while the jugs were open. Once they get sealed, they're no longer one big unit. They're all individual units. Okay. Yud Gimel. Beis Shammai omrim mefatech u'ma'areh lagas. Okay. What are we talking about? Somebody wants to sell. He wants to sell wine in Yerushalayim. Okay. And the person who's buying wants to use his Maaser Sheni money to buy the wine. But the jugs themselves are not Maaser Sheni. Okay, this is the situation. The buyer, the seller was careful. He didn't want to. He followed the advice in the previous Mishnah and said, "I'm lending these jugs to Maaser Sheni. They're not becoming Maaser Sheni." So now the buyer wants to buy with Maaser Sheni money. So says Beis Shammai, well, you can't spend it on the value of the jugs. So now what does the seller got to do? He's got to pour all the wine into a vat, and then you buy it and then pour it into a new jug, basically. Beis Hillel omrim mefateach ve'eino tzarich le'aros. He says all he has to do is open up the jug and sell it open to make it clear that this is that he's buying the wine and not the jug.
Yeah.
In other words, what Beis Hillel is saying is that the jug is coming along as a free gift. Okay. But Medvarim Amorim, what is the
It's different than the one before where he sealed it. Then, right?
yeah, so the fact that the seller has opened the jug means that he's not the jug is losing its own individual chashivas.
Okay.
Okay. B'meh Dvarim Amurim, when is Beis Hillel's opinion stated? B'makom she'darkan limacher stumos. That only works in a place where the general practice is to sell closed jugs of wine. Aval b'makom she'darkan limacher pesuchos lo yatsa kan lecholin. If the general practice is that jugs of wine are sold open, then it doesn't help to open the jug, because that's the way everything is sold. So if he's using his Maaser Sheni money to buy this wine, then the jug takes hold of the Maaser Sheni Kedusha. So now he takes the jug and he drinks the wine, and now he's still got a jug that's Maaser Sheni. Now he's got to sell that jug
Right.
to somebody and basically redeem the money onto money, redeem the jug onto money again and spend that money on food. So
Are these jugs left open in the store, opened like that? Like they're closed for the night, and then they
I
because we
don't
have that whole thing with the snakes coming in
know
now.
exactly. Um, I don't know. It's interesting because it would be interesting to know exactly what the market conditions were in this time, because I was thinking exactly that what you were saying about Giloy. You can't leave the jugs open,
Right.
uh, so it must be that they are sealed. Um, but maybe what happens is that there's this big vat that he's got of wine, and when he sells the wine, he spoons it from the vat into an open container and gives it to the people who are buying it.
Right. Right. That would make sense. Right.
Okay. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Afa Omer lechavero, Chavis zo ani mocher lach. Chutz mikan kanim, yatsa kan lechonim. He says, he has an eitzah, says Rabbi Shimon. The seller says, listen, this amount of wine I'm selling you a whatever, 500 mils of wine. But I'm not selling you the jug.
Right.
I'm expecting you to return the jug, or else the jug is a gift. One way or another, that's an eitzah for the buyer and seller to get out of the Maaser Sheni problem. Okay. Perek Daled, Hamolich Peiros Maaser Sheni Memakom Hayoker Lemakom Hazol. Okay, so first of all, it's not advisable to move your Maaser Sheni produce around. So this is the original Maaser Sheni produce that came out of his field. He wants to redeem it. Um, he should be redeeming it in the place where he finished the malacha, but he didn't. Okay, and now what's the halacha? He transported the Maaser Sheni produce from one place to another, and either it went up in price or it went down in price from where it was originally harvested. Or mimakom azol lemakom hayoker. Podehu kashar mekomo. Then his redemption has to be according to the price of the place where he is right now. So it's irrelevant where it was originally farmed and the produce was finished. That falls by the wayside. We're only interested in what the price is right now. Hamayvi Peros min hagorin la'ir. If he brings his produce from his threshing floor to the city, the kade yayin min hagas la'ir, or his jugs of wine from the wine press to the city, hashvach l'sheni v'yitzios mi beso. Um the price is going to go up when you take it to the city, and that increase in price goes to Maaser Sheni. So in other words, you have to redeem it at the higher price. V'tzios and the price and the expenses that he undertook in order to get the produce to the city, right? He had to, let's say, he had to hire a wagon driver to bring him to the city. He cannot say, okay, well, that was business expenses. Let me take that off what I've the value of what we had of the increase of the Maaser Sheni. Cannot do that. That comes out of his own pocket. Okay, back to Aleph Hey.
If one buys water or salt to produce attached to the soil or produce which is not Yushalayim, he has not brought Maaser. If one brought produce in error, the money must be returned. If wittingly, it must go up and be eaten in the place. But when there is no temple, let it not. Let it not rot. I meant rot. Okay. If he brought cattle into error, the money must be redeemed. If wittingly, he must go up and be eaten in the place, but when there is no temple, it must be buried with its hide. One may not buy bondwomen, land, or unclean animals with Maaser money, and if he bought them, he must eat for its equivalent. One may not offer burnt offerings of men or women who had a flux, or burnt offerings of women after childbirth, or a sin offering and guilt offerings bought with Maaser money, and if one offered them, he must eat their equivalent. This is the general rule. If anything other than food, drink, or urgent has been bought with Maaser money, its value must be consumed. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, on to pay. Trumos. Zion Gimel. If one serves truma food to his sons who are minors and to his slaves, whether adults or minors, or eats truma from outside of Eretz Yisrael, or eats less than an alm's bulk of truma, he repays its value, but does not pay the fifth. That which is given in payment is chulin. If the priest wishes to forego, he can forego. This is the general principle. Whenever the value plus a fifth is repaid, the prepayment is truma. If the priest wish to forego, he may not do so. And whenever the value of it is repaid, but not the fifth, the payment is chulin. If the priest wishes to forego, he can forego. If there were two baskets, one of truma and the other of chulin, and a sar of truma fell into one of them, and it's not known into which it fell, I presume that it fell into one of the truma. If it is not known which is of truma and which is of chulin, and he ate one of them, he is exempt. And the other one he treats as truma and is liable to chala. So says Rav Meir. Yossi exempts, and if another person ate the other one, he is exempt. If one ate both, he repays the value of the smaller one of the two. Okay.
Am I base Aleph?
These are the items liable to tithing, as the my everywhere. Pressed figs, dates, carobs, rice, and cumin. Whoever uses rice from outside Eretz Yisrael is exempt. Whoever undertakes to become untrustworthy must tithe what he eats and what he sells and what he buys, and he not be the guest of an Amaretz. W. Yehuda says even one who is the guest of an Amaretz is considered trustworthy. They said to him, if he is not trusted regarding himself, how can he be trusted regarding what belongs to others? Whoever undertakes to become a Chaver may not shell to an Amaretz anything moist or dry, nor may he buy from him anything moist, and he may not be the guest of an Amaretz, nor may he receive him as a guest in his garments. Rabbi Yehuda says, nor may he breed small cattle, or be prone to making vows or to jesting, and nor may he defile himself by the dead, but he ministers in the house of study. And he said to him, these do not come with the principle. Okay. And Nagayim. Okay. Hey. Once the afflicted person has been confirmed Tomei, a double is removed Tomei. How so? Two people came to a Kohen, one with a Baharis the size of a grist, and the other with a Baharis.
A dart is considered time. Yeah.
Did I say something wrong?
You said double.
Oh, all right. Once the afflicted person has been confirmed Tomei, a doubt, right, is removed Tomei. How so? Two people came to a Kohen, one with a Baharis the size of a grist, and the other with a Baharis the size of a cellar. If at the end of the week both Baharis are larger than the cellar, they both become confirmed Tomei. Even if both Nagayim revert to the size of the cellar, they both remain Tameh until they become as small as a grist. This is what is said. Once the afflicted person has been confirmed, Tameh in a doubt is ruled Tameh. A basic Baharis is the size of a Syrian grist squared. The area of a grist is equivalent to 9 lentils, and the area of a lentil is equivalent to the area on which 4 hairs grow. Thus, there are 36 hairs in a nega. A Baharis, the size of a grist that contains a mikvah, the size of a lentil, is the size of the Baharis spread, it is tummy. If it was seeded, it becomes tahor. If the mikvah expanded, the Baharis is tahor. If the mikvah receded, the Baharis is tahor. Okay, got it. Okay. And we have Avos.
Mhm.
Okay. Gimel Yud base. Rabbi Yishmael says, be swift for a superior. And reserved toward the young, and be cheerful toward everyone. Rabbi Akiva says, jest and levelly accustom man to immorality, and the oral tradition is offense for the Torah. Tithes are offense for wealth, vows are offense for abstinence, offense for wisdom is silence. Beloved is Israel, for they are called children of the omnipresent. The greater love is that it was made known to them that they are called children of the omnipresent, as it is stated, you are children to Hashem your God. Beloved is Israel, for a desirable utensil is given to them. A greater love is that it was made known to them that a desirable utensil with which the world was created was given to them, as it is stated, for I have given you a good teaching, do not forsake my Torah. Okay. What are we going to do after Avos? If I'll be prepared.
Well, I mean, Abbas has got a long way to go still, so
Wait,
you might
sorry.
volume 1 and volume 2 or something.
I know, I didn't realize it for a second. Okay, wait, let me put this in here. Okay.
But to answer your question, it'll be Horayos. But that's
I'm
got
sorry, what? I'm sorry, which one? I'm sorry.
when we finish Avos, which is in a long while, but it'll be Horayos is the last one.
Okay. All right, Yud Beis Gimel. If she removed the shoe and spat, but he did not recite, her kalitza is nevertheless valid. If she recited and spat, but did not remove the shoe, her kalitza is not valid. If she removed the shoe and recited, but did not spit, Rabbi Eliezer says her kalitza is not valid, but Rabbi Akiva says her kalitza is valid. Said Rabbi Eliezer, so should be done. Whatever is an action is indispensable. Rabbi Akiva replied, is that a proof? So should be done to the man. Whatever is an action involving the man is indispensable. If Kalitza was performed on a deaf mute, or if a woman was a deaf mute, performed Kalitza, or if a widow performed Kalitza on a minor, her Kalitza is not valid. If the minor girl performed Kalitza, she must perform Kalitza when she reaches adulthood. And if she did not perform Kalitza again, her first Kalitza is not valid. If she performed Kalitza before 2 judges or before 3, and it was discovered that one was a relative or disqualified, her Kalitza is not valid. The Reb Shimon and Reb Yochanan, the Sandla, validated. It happened once that someone performed Kalitza when they were only he and she were present in a prison, and the case came before Rabbi Akiva, and he validated it. Okay. I knew a woman who did who had to do kalitza, the whole thing, with the man
Yeah.
and all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, he did